is Thursday edition. What are we? 1st of June, 1st of, what's it called? Winter, that thing here. And it's a bit chilly and blowy here in Tasmania, I've got to say. And, of course, where most people are watching this would be 1st of summer. Can it get any hotter where you guys are? Man, really? Doesn't make much difference, does it, at the end of the day? No Ash today, as far as I'm aware, but Phil will be joining me, of course. And hang on, I'll just get rid of that phone call. And we're going to talk a little bit today about energy future. And I think it's a fascinating subject as to what happens when the world goes to SH1T, frankly. Anyway, it's a very broad topic, and Phil's been studying it for quite a while. He's going to talk a little bit about that today, I do believe. I think he's prepared for that. Anyways, what do we got? We've got something not happening here. That's what it is. All right, let's kick on and begin today with, as usual, gold, and see what's going on with the gold chart. That is not the gold chart. That is the gold chart. And thus far, we've got a low here from Asia session to this one, and we've got a high here. So that will be our target area. Hang on, I've just lost the control panel again. Hate when that happens. There we go. Righto. Back in action, I think. As I was saying, we've got the high here, we've got the low here. So that will be our range, and tight little range, don't mind it, but I'd much prefer price to be up here when the clock strikes 0800 in London town, which it will in about 2 minutes flat. I've got a little bit of a thing about gold at the moment, and I think we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. What's it done during the week? Monday, low here, high here, 0900, yes. So you wouldn't have been tipped in the low, you would have been tipped into the long loser. Tuesday, high here, low would be this one. Long, beautiful. Yesterday, high here, low here. You would have been tipped into the long, and bingo, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's see if today can meet the judge as well. Hello, Paul P. All right, we've got about a minute to go, and really like price to get back up here to get into the middle of our range. That's where I like to see it before we chase breakouts. Whilst I'm waiting for that minute to occur, hang on 2 seconds, and I'll just check to see that we are streaming around the place. How's your week been, guys, by the way? End of the month, new month today. Wrapped up. How was your last month? Profitable, I hope. If not, then let's try and make it up, shall we? I'm going to lift the stakes on the gold breakout trade today. And I haven't been tracking this as well as I should have been. So I've changed to a separate account, and I'm just going to trade gold only on this account so that I don't need to sort out everything else from this gold test that we're doing. But I'm also going to lift the stake on this to 0.25%. Each trade's going to be worth a quarter of my, quarter of 1% of this account. This is an ATW account. I've got no idea what the balance is. I'll work that out a little bit later, but we'll start with 0.25 of one lot, see how that pans out. So that will be happening as of today, and we're very, very close to the open. Well, I thought we were very, very close to the open. I've got 2 different clocks. That's handy. Hang on 2 secs. No, I've got one that's frozen, that's why. All right, Gandalf will tell me anyway. We can put our long entry in. Nothing's happening here. Oh, there we go. Buy stop. 0.25%. I think will be around about maybe 0.1. I'll have to work out the lot size later. Buy stop, the entry is going to be above the high at 1968. 1968 will be our entry for the long. And the stop loss will be the entry for the short, which will be the low of that bar rounded down, 1960. So 1960 and 1968. Our target is pretty clear. It's the weekly pivot. And that level, sorry, we're going long here. It's DR1, both pretty clear. DR1 is at 1974. 1974, and that's the buy. The sell just above DR1. We might have to manually fix that. The sell will be a sell stop at, what was it, 1960? Yeah. And stop loss 1968. And take profit is the weekly pivot. It's going to show me what it is. Let's go with 1956. Now, there's a year, guys. What happened in 1956? Come on, all you historians. It was a big year, 1956. I'll take any answer you're prepared to give me. There's a couple. All right, there's our entry, getting close to that on the downside. Let's get rid of that line. And I'll get rid of that line. Okay, like I said, 2 out of 3 this week have been winners. Monday a loser, Tuesday a winner, Wednesday a winner. Let's see how Thursday pans out. Both of these are just outside these correct parameters, but we'll deal with that manually. All right, I want to move on, and I'm going to start with updates. Now, all of you guys that have been in the room for the last 2 weeks at least will know that we've been waiting for something like this to happen, because we entered CAD versus the Swissy back here full 2 weeks ago. Yep. And since then, absolutely nothing's happened. We did get CAD news overnight, which helped this. And of course, the dollar came off as well. I want to talk about the dollar in a minute. But first of all, our entry is here. I'll just raise that red line. That'll do. Now, we're still at risk on this, by the way. There's our entry. What I'm going to do is expect today a pullback to the trade line, if not our entry. I have therefore, I'm on this account, so you can't see the order. I've done nothing with the stop loss. It's still down here. Can't remember where. I have to look it up. It's underneath yesterday's bar, that's right. Just underneath the weekly pivot, I believe. And as I say, expecting that pullback today. And if we don't get follow through either today or tomorrow, I'll likely close this. Otherwise, we're just going to go back into this range. The good part is they're paying us to stay in the trade. It is a positive swap trade. But I'm just sick of it being in here. And really, if this isn't going to happen, then I'll probably expect that the other side will. So still in, but monitoring today's bar very closely. Kiwi yen, our weekly trade from Monday, has triggered, but not going too far. Not going too far at all. Our target's down here. Or sorry, our first take profit's down here. Our target's down here somewhere. So nothing to do here really. But that little line in the sand there, 85.42, area. If we get above that and our stop loss is up here somewhere, then I think I'd probably close the order, because I think I'm wrong at that point above the current weekly bar. So if we go into, in other words, above, what was it, yesterday's breakout bar, we went above that, I think, sorry, not that one, this one, I think I'd like to close it. See how that pans out as well. And Kiwi versus the dollar, we entered down here. And what did we trade this on? The weekly again, didn't we? Week before last. Yeah, double cross on the monthly pivot. And that's going well. We have taken one lot of profit here. There's our second target here, around about the 59.20 mark. I don't see any reason why that can't go there, to be fair. It looks to me to have very, very little obstacles in its way, apart from the daily support levels, of course. And you'd expect that. And once again, I would be expecting pullbacks at each one. We didn't get one here. Very, very small, and the market kept going. I've trailed my stop, however, very, very tightly, because I was expecting a pullback today. Hasn't come so far. Stop loss at the moment is just above that bar there at 60.55. That's where I've got my stop losses, above DR1. More importantly, it is above the weekly bar, the current weekly bar. So if that were to reverse, then I'd expect a retest of that level minimum, maybe even back to here. And I don't want to give all that profit away, so we're trailing this one fairly tightly. If we get a TP2, then I will close half of what's left of the position and leave my stop loss where it is, trusting this bar will hold price, or the high of this bar will hold price. So they're the three, all positive, all good, and really we'd have to be poor managers to make a mess of this one. So today, a few game changes today. Let me go here firstly. Oh, we have been triggered. Okay. Let me firstly go to gold again. Been triggered short, so we've got to get rid of the long. Delete the buy. Okay, that's done. Short target, I was going to raise it above the weekly pivot. It's just below it at the moment. Weekly pivot is at 195611. We'll go 195615. Nobody's told me what. Oh, may I know how do you close half while in the trade? Thanks. Sure, Daryl. I'll do that for you. Firstly, I'll modify this. 1956.15, right, is the target. 19. Won't let me do that. Why? Oh, there it is. 15. Okay. Sorted. Don't want to print it. Okay. Daryl, close. How do I close half the position? Too easy. Let's go with one that we're in, eh? CAD Swiss. So if I wanted to close half this position, I go to my terminal, or you could click on, I haven't got this order on this chart because I'm only trading gold on this chart. I've got my target set, haven't I? I can get out of here now. I'll go to my my other account. File. Log into trade account. Which one do I want? That one. Go there. Any moment now, we should see apply normal settings. Kiwi yen. No. So CAD Swiss, right. Here's our stop loss down here, as I said, underneath the weekly pivot. If I now wanted to close half of the position, I'd simply double click, and then right click is the way to do it. So I can close here, the option to close. It'll open up the order window. And if I've got a volume of 0.18, I can close whatever portion of that I so choose. So if I want to close half, I'd go 0.09 and close. And you would close that at that point. So at whatever the price was at market, right? Is that good, Daryl? Is that all good for you? Yep, cool. The other way to do it, of course, is you could go to view up here, terminal, and you could go in that way. I think you can probably even right-click trading. No, you can't. That's not, you can, but that's not the way to do it. All right, where's up to? We are short gold on the other account. Cool. We were going around the grounds, weren't we? With game changer bars for the day. Euro Aussie was one. I have a soft spot for Euro Aussie, but I don't see that I can trade it at this point. Got a double top sitting here, slightly out of context because it's not really the top. This is the top, but there it is. You can't deny it's a double top at this point, but too close to the weekly pivot. And had you traded that this morning against my better judgment, and for that specific reason, I didn't want to trade here because the potential for this to bounce is strong. Higher high, higher low. Technically, that's an equal high, but there's no reason why this can't bounce and go with current momentum. So that's why I thought that was a bad option. A better option, I thought, would be, certainly on the daily chart, if I borrow that trade line, we could wait for the resistance to break. So break up here, maybe find this level here, consolidate a little bit, come back underneath everything, which means monthly pivot, trade line, daily pivot, weekly pivot. We pierced all of those and then retested that trade line, and in the meantime, all of those pivots, or any one of those pivots, then I'd be happy to take it short. But not right now, because the reward to risk is poor. That could happen, of course, not only on the daily chart, but 4-hour chart, 30-minute chart, any chart. You've got a double top here on the 4-hour chart. You'd have to adjust your trade line, of course, because this one is only relevant to the daily. I can get that. There we go. So we'll put that where it belongs. And at the moment, I don't have a great one to rely on, but it's there, which is that line. It's going to complicate issues because it's probably going to have to put in a new high to take that out, which means difficult times. But what I can see here is the potential for a range to form. So bottom first, then back to here maybe. It's not something that I'm ready to trade, let me put it that way. But I do have a bias short. That's Euro Aussie. Euro Kiwi is another one. Most of these are similar. Now, the game changer bar is suggesting that we go short here. Now, by definition, a game changer bar is something that, guess what, changes the game. So this one here, the game currently is bullish. So if it's going to change the game, it will go that way, right? And that's exactly what that candle is suggesting. The only thing that I don't like about this is that I don't have a reversal pattern here. So the primary trend, or may not be the primary trend. No, it's not the primary trend. The intermediate trend, which is the weekly trend, is most definitely bullish, right? Which means price is likely to go to trend. My contention would be if it doesn't go to trend, then potentially we will go in this direction. I like that part. But in order to go against the trend, I need two things to happen. Number one, I need a chart reversal pattern. I don't have one. Then I need a lower high. I do have one. So I've got half the equation, but I don't have the right to go short here because I haven't earned it. I haven't got the reversal pattern, which needs to be followed by that lower high. So I have to wait. Maybe we get a double top. maybe that's our reversal pattern. Then we can look for lower high. I'm talking about in the middle of next week before that happens on a daily chart. 4 hour, of course, same applies. Don't have a reversal pattern yet, but if we got a double top here, then same applies. I can look for a reversal, lower high, look to play it short. If that were to coincide with a trade line, for instance, and come bang, bang, I'd be looking for the bang that way. So break, retest, enter short, target monthly pivot. Looks pretty easy, doesn't it? Maybe it will be. We will see. There's only a couple more. Pound yen is one. Pound yen on the daily is suggesting that we go long. I don't go long here in a month of Sundays or Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Terrible candles here. This is not decisive in any way, shape or form. Yes, it looks like the trend could continue here. That's well and good. It'll continue without me not trading into a high. In really, you could say it's kind of overbought. Looks overbought. It looks to be getting tired. So I don't want to go long here. Simple as that. Next one is Kiwi Swiss, and the final one is dollar CAD. Kiwi versus the Swissy, suggesting that we do go long. Now, I've just explained to you what I need to see to go counter trend, and this would be a counter trend trade. I need to see a reversal pattern followed by in this case, higher low. Do I have a reversal pattern? Well, I've got a bullish engulfing bar. That's a reversal pattern. There was your higher low. Could have traded that up to there. Now I've got a double top in place. This sequence, if you like, or cycle that I can see very clearly, which looks like an M pattern, has played out, in my humble opinion. Now we've got a double bottom in place. Can I trade that hammer there? No, I can't, because I've got the reversal, but I don't have the higher low. So ideal scenario here for me is pretty clear. And I'll point that out. Price up to the pivots, which is in concert with this level here. I cheated a bit, but you can see it's very, very close to there. So price up to here, peel back off it, maybe retest this level, the breakout level. In the meantime, giving us a higher low. And then we can look to trade it long. Obvious take profit level is here, but in extension, you can see the other side of it. We can't see the entire other side, but an M can very easily turn into a W. So I would be looking for exactly that to happen. Let me go a little bit wider. And that would then play out here, right? I'll draw it in again. So the M pattern, complete, tick, tick. Now you've got this going on. So that's exactly what I expect to happen. And if it happens the way I anticipate it might, then we can trade that up to there. I'm on a daily chart. So again, you're looking at next week before you can even think about that, in my opinion. But if you were to get it fast, then keep your eye open for it. Fast is not as good. If it played out the way I anticipate, then you've got a trade on your hands. And finally, dollar CAD. Dollar CAD does look to be forming, if while I'm on shapes, another M, right? But we do have a clear box range. It's very square at this point. You can see the equal highs. You can see the equal lows. We've just come off the top. And on the daily chart, you've been given a very, very strong reversal bar, game changer bar, in fact, to the downside. Do I want to trade that? Well, I could. But what's the rule for game changers? They've got to change the game. That's reasonable, except we've just had a sell-off. Much rather trade it from up there at the top of the rally. That doesn't mean I can't. But game changer bars also have to be with the primary move, which in this case is still bullish. I can't see the confirmation yet of a reversal of that primary trend or primary governing factor, if you like. I do see the range, however. We're at the top of that. We've come back inside it. So I would be prepared to trade it short. But I'd want to see a false break of resistance to do that. Have I got that? Not really. Or do I? That's what I'm looking for. So I need price down to here. Take out the monthly pivot, the new monthly pivot, come back and retest it. Then I can trade it short. The other way to do it is to play this as a double top and look for a lower high in here. You get a much better price than I'm talking about, of course, but that would be the way to go as well. They're the key reversal bars, and some of them I think are distinct possibilities this day. Keep your eye on them. I think they could well develop into opportunities off the smaller time frames. But they're not on my watch list. Well, they are, but the ones that really are on my watch list are Euro Yen, and I'm looking to play this short. See the double top? You can see where I'm going with this. You're getting a fair idea of how I look at charts today. Because I can see the double top, I can also see a clear neckline in here. Once that neckline is broken, I can once again see a retest, which will match this here. Then a sell-off, probably down to here. Then a pullback, probably back to here. This won't happen as dramatically, right? You'll only see it in a little short burst. And then there's your target, right down here. What would that be? Oh, that'll be a Ronald McDonald. So that's pretty much how I look at things, certainly from a long way out. And that's what I'd be anticipating may happen with Euro Yen. So what am I waiting for now? Well, I'm waiting for a lower high in here somewhere so that I can trade it. Again, 4-hour chart's fine. Even the smaller time frames a little bit later on, once the market's settled down a bit, if it is indeed moving. I haven't even checked that. 30-minute chart. Let me have a look at it. Don't really trade Euro Yen on the 30-minute chart, but I'm happy to trade it on a 4-hour chart. There's a potential lower high, but here's kind of where I'm at. Very acute trade line. I don't like trading in that acute, to be honest. But I'll keep my eye on it. And if it looks like there is a false break of it, maybe we can find a way. Maybe we can. We'll keep our eye on it, as I said. The other one is Euro Swissy, also on my watch list. Where's that? Here. Euro Swissy showing me two things. One is the potential to go long immediately. When I say immediately, I don't mean at market, but I do mean above that bar there. But I'm against that because we've got a monthly pivot dead ahead and we've got a clear support that would or should become resistance as well. So trading that to there from a stop loss here is very, very poor on a risk-reward basis. So what I need to see is one of two things. Got a double bottom, so I can see a higher low in here. That would be my best entry down here. Or break up here, take that level out, come back and retest the monthly pivot and or the trade line. Then I could trade it long above that level. That would be a far safer way to trade it, I must admit. But I'd be happy to go ABC as well. now that we've got that double bottom in place. We shall see. And I'm also exposed at the moment, still on CAD versus Swiss. Haven't taken any profit on that yet, right? The last one of the day, and my favourite of the day, is dollar yen. Now, I often sack dollar yen from my trading because I found it very, very difficult to follow. But these days, I'm finding it far more easy. I'm reading it a lot easier because I am using the dollar index to show me. Now, I've been speaking since we were down here that the dollar index will go to here or maybe here. It did peel off this yesterday, which is interesting. I was actually expecting more downside today, but I'm pleased we're not because we are short Kiwi dollar. I'm more than happy if it goes up to here, but it's at this point that I will start thinking reversals. At the moment, and there's good reason for that as well, because I pointed this out to you a few weeks ago, maybe, where we've got this range that's formed, and that's why I expected price to go up here. You probably remember me saying that a couple of weeks ago. So that's all playing out nicely, but when we hit that level, I'll be expecting price to peel back off, give us a false break, and go back into range. And I think that's going to be the case until something major happens. And I don't mean NFP. NFP, I don't think will move this market that much, to be honest. But maybe Fed pause, maybe people talking about Fed flipping as well. That'll be interesting for all sorts of reasons. But this is my favourite today. And if I get the opportunity, maybe on a smaller time frame, you can see that see what I'm lining up here. 3 amigos. The range is here. So I expect the range to break to the downside. Certainly here is a profit-taking level. And the monthly pivot may well be the point where it bounces back and goes long to that horizontal level that I was talking about. So it's my fave because I can see that far clearer and maybe quicker than anything else. Where am I going today with it? Well, I want to see this break. I really do. Now, before, I wasn't so sure. I was waiting for maybe a sell-off down to here, bounce to here, then sell it off and come back. But it looks right now as though it wants to go and test that level. We'll see how it pans out. All right. The only other thing that I check on a Thursday, of course, is euro versus the dollar and see if we've got our edge available to us. That edge is all about the daily pivot. And if we've got an untested daily pivot, then we've got something to think about. We've got a broken, retested, rebroken, retested, rebroken. Ain't happening, guys. The daily pivot has been hammered so far today, and that doesn't look like changing anytime soon. If I have a bias, then it was going to be long based on what I thought the dollar index might do. But now the dollar index is showing me a bit of strength early. Maybe we're coming down to this level again. I'll watch though, because we do have a good trade line here, good 30-minute trade line. So it comes back here and gives me some price action that I'd like, then I'll look to trade it. This is a nice trade up to here, actually. We'll see if that pans out. All right, but that's pretty much where I'm at for the day. As I said, no Ash today, but we do have Phil. And I want to preface Phil coming in by saying that strange things in my mind are happening, if not about to happen. And I really don't know what that looks like at the end of the day. But one thing I'm quite, I wouldn't say keen on, but quite fearful, it's not the word, willing to accept, I'll put it that way, is that currency trading is not going to be like it has been. When that happens, I've got no idea. I might be well and truly gone off this mortal coil by the time that happens, but I don't feel that's going to be the case because we've got central banks introducing digital currencies aren't we trading digitally anyway and have been for ages? There's not that much cash around anymore, to be fair. Most people don't carry cash around. And that's exactly how they want it, of course. So I think that process that we've been teased on, if you like, for the past, decade or so, more, decades, let's call it, with credit cards and bank cards and all those sorts of things. And we're trading digitally, have been for ages, as I said. What that looks like, I have no idea. What happens when the almost certain thing for me, the US dollar, is no longer the reserve currency of the world? Don't know. What happens next? Don't know. But I know something is changing. And I wanted to really get a handle on that. And by chance, really, Phil and I started talking about trading. We were transacting in Bamboo, and we started talking about trading. And since we've been collaborating, not daily, but every second day or so. And Phil's been a stalwart student, teaches himself, but he's been a student of stocks and indices for quite some time. And that interests me because, as I said, I think currency will change. And what that looks like, I don't know. But one thing I don't see changing is the stock market, because there'll still be companies. They'll still have to transact. They'll still have to trade and all the rest of it. So what that looks like, again, I don't know. But they're going to have values and intrinsic values, and trying to get a handle on that and judging that, and then further looking at what the world looks like when we get into that phase. And I think there's going to be a huge adjustment period. And what that looks like, I don't know. But one thing I have been noticing very, very clearly is that precious metals are starting to really become part and parcel of my mindset. Why? Well, because that's where we've been historically, I suppose. The store of value has always been in precious metals, in particular that gold shiny stuff. So I'm keen to position myself so that that's part of my portfolio, so that stocks are part of my portfolio, businesses that have real value and things that have real value, not paper money, which, when you think about it, paper money, what is it? It's someone's thought. Okay, I agree with you today that that's worth more than mine, or the same as mine, or less than mine, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it's made up. It's not backed by anything. The US dollar is backed by absolutely jack. And it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker because they just keep printing it and printing it and printing it. And, you don't have to be Einstein to think that sometime in the near future, that little chicken's going to come home to roost. Maybe I'm mad, but I don't think so. Anyway, somebody who's studied it far more than I have, I'm very pleased to say, is with us again today, and as is on a Thursday. Phil, g'day, mate.
G'day, Jeff. How you going?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to having a weekend, I've got to say, and looking forward to the wind and rain stopping. That'd be good also.
Yeah, it's been nice.
But apart from that, tell me.
Turmoil everywhere, isn't there? The weather and everything.
Well, indeed. We don't have to be told about that. We've been told about it many, many times, of course, that the world is undergoing change in a climate perspective and everything else, it seems. What are your thoughts? I mean, you've been studying this kind of phenomenon for a while and positioning yourself, as I know, as a fan of gold and silver in particular. But there's another one. You're a uranium fan. Why?
Well, I guess I've got a very logical brain, and for some reason I seem to be able to look at the big picture and see things coming from a long way back. And there's a really good book on that we've spoken about. We could probably leave some notes maybe for reference later on. That's called Immoderate Greatness. And it basically gives you...
Yeah, it's a good read.
Yeah, it basically gives you a very big picture of past civilization. It's to do with why civilizations fail, I think, is the subtitle. So that's not where I got my inspiration from. I only found that book, I don't know, 12 months ago. But that philosophy, that real big picture stuff is where I start, I guess. So, well, not I guess, I do. So I always start analysing stocks or anything from the top down. So it's interesting what you say about the currencies, because at the moment, obviously, for the last 200 years, or whatever it is, the dollars in one form or another have been the dominant currencies. But where to from here?
But they don't have any value per se.
No.
Do they? They're not backed by anything. They're just,
No.
okay, we'll print some more because we're run out.
That's about it, isn't it? And if you look back through history, the silver and the gold story is very, very interesting. And both of those camps have fanatics, of course, of which I am not. But I do look at everything with a very logical and unemotional head. So it's easy for me just to take in all the rubbish and facts that you read and kind of sort through them and come out with a logical answer. So all the things that I speak about or trade or whatever I do is all based on that. And it started for me back when I was a youngster, newly married in those days, and I had an argument with the hydro, the power supply people, for those that aren't familiar with Tasmania. And it made me look, and that's how I had that much money and I was working for myself and doing it hard. And it made me look at, these guys have got control over my life. And that certainly wasn't something I wanted. So from those days, back in the early 1970s, late 1970s, I should say, I was determined to do something about that. So that's where my path has gone. I'm a bit like you. Matter of fact, the two things you want to know about 1956 was, one is it was the Olympic Games, and the second thing is, of course, you were born.
that was the one that was most important, of course.
I know. That's why I said it second.
And wasn't it also the coronation of Queen Elizabeth?
Oh, something like that. Yeah, something unimportant, that's for sure. So yeah, so I was born in 58, and I'm now whatever 2 years younger than you, and so I've done all that thinking all my life. So that's where my approach comes from. So I'm not just one-eyed gold or one-eyed silver or one-eyed uranium or one-eyed anything. As you know, I can buy and sell all my portfolio in 2 days if that's what needs to be done. You know what I mean? So I've got no tie-up with any of that sort of stuff, no emotional tie-up. So as far as the we'll come another step down. I guess we could talk about that all night, but basically, I got down to, so working out the cycles. Obviously, time by degrees, obviously a bit of a favourite, and although I've looked at a lot of them, and the eventually commodities, the gold and the silver was a bit there, and a few other things. Copper, I got burnt with copper, believing everyone that it was going to be fantastic about 10 years ago. I got burnt with nickel about 10 years ago when everyone on the planet was swearing it was going to triple overnight and all this sort of rubbish and blah, blah, blah. And when I say got burnt a bit, I'm talking tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. So I've learnt the hard way and I've clawed it all back and worked it out for myself. So eventually I came down to energy at the moment because
you found someone you could trust, right?
Yeah, myself. That's it. Yeah. Exactly. So, precisely. So yeah, so I learned to do the cycles. Obviously, the time by degrees was a fairly close-up view of it, which we've been trying to share with others on the show. And that's, well, I guess we start that way because it's a bit of a difficult subject to get your head around if it's not something you're normally interested in. It's not that it's not hard. It's just probably just different. So people just aren't thinking down that line much.
Yeah, it's left of field, most definitely, for most people.
Yeah, so by starting with the pointy end where we can make some money, it gets people interested. And I guess tonight we just want to look at spreading our wings a bit and seeing where those last few shows have come from. And eventually I got down to energy because nickel failed me. I traded again now because I'm a bit smarter now. Copper's the same, but energy, the energy sector is what attracted my attention for all the reasons that you said earlier. So it's something that I think, if you do much reading or you listen to a lot of different people, the things they need to do, they want to control our energy, our food, and is it our water? Anyway, there's three things basically they want to control.
Absolutely.
So the food and
the things we can't survive without.
Yeah. So I've got the energy under control at my place, which is not just solar panels, and I've got food under control pretty much at my place, and the what else was I thinking? Oh, the land is the other one. Sorry, yeah. So the land is the main one. So that's for me, that covers water. The water, it goes with the land if you're smart. Yeah. So the energy was what I was worried about down the track. So after I became worried about energy, I obviously thought about trading it because I was worried about energy back in the 70s, and it was, I only started really trading it actively probably only a few years ago. But having now the knowledge to identify the actual cycles and things, you see. So that's where that comes from.
Trading's one thing. Are you positioning yourself also? Do you have an end goal in mind for those energy resources? Apart from the fact that I think you think they're going to be more valuable than they are down the track.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I've identified the sector, and then I come back to what we want to trade. So there's lots of things we can trade in that sector, of course. You know, it covers coal, like we just said, water, solar.
Have we found a way to, actually, you and I have had this discussion but never gone on with it. Have we found a way to trade water yet?
Yeah, you can. And I did actually know this answer when I spoke to you before, but it slipped my mind. I know the farmers have got a way of trading it, because often what they do is they trade the rights to their properties. So I pick cotton and stuff up north, up in New South Wales and northern, all the full spectrum of New South Wales, really, a little bit in Victoria. And they have a way of trading here. So they buy up. I've seen guys up there buy $1 million properties and never use them. They just sell the rights to their water. Yep. But how we actually do it, you and I, I'm not real sure. So I haven't done it yet. The problem, I'm worried about water because I think it can be manipulated.
Well, certainly those guys that you're talking about in New South Wales, and I lived there for quite a while, they actually pump so much water out of the river that it runs backwards at a time. So they've all turned their pumps on. The river actually reverses stream. The one thing that would concern me if I were one of those people is that the government can just take those rights away without any problem at all.
Absolutely.
And unless they're storing their own water on their own land, which I'm sure the governments will find a way around in the future as well, or certainly try. And I can certainly see trouble coming when that comes to be, or when that comes to pass. If we're all to go through a drought for 10 years or whatever the case may be, and water becomes so precious, there's going to be strife, no question. And those who seek it most are going to be desperate. So it's not an easy one.
No, it's not. And you did right. And I've worked up there in Nyngan, actually, where there's a couple of issues. One issue that you talk about, storing your water on your own land, is a problem up there because you've got a lot of evaporation. But another thing,
broad acre stuff, splatters of billiard tape.
Yeah, and up where I was at Nyngan there, a property I worked on was about, I think it was 70,000 acres odd. Actually, one might have been 70. I think it was a 70 and a 40 and a 30. Anyway, the guy up there basically stopped the Bogan River, which floods all the time. It was on his own property. So he made this massive arrangement. He spent just shirt loads of money, and he backed it all up, and he got it so he could use on his own property, and he didn't interfere with it, let it flow, didn't change the running of the river. And eventually down the track, when everybody, well, I guess someone complained about it one day, the government found out and they made him pull it all out again, because they said, I'm assuming, well, the story was that they didn't want anybody controlling the river. Well, of course, the truth was that they didn't want anybody except them controlling
Except
the river.
them, yes, indeed.
So I've seen, and and down south further than that, picking cotton. I picked the cotton for a few years, and I've seen, and people laugh about this, but it's not quite literal, but I've seen two farmers threaten each other with loaded shotguns over a puddle of water.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say a puddle of water, a small dam that'd be in your or my backyard, nothing really, just a puddle of water. So all those things stuck in my mind, mate. Yeah. So the the oil is in the energy sector, obviously, and that's just manipulated to the hilt. It doesn't get any more manipulated than that. The gas is now becoming the same influence, not necessarily manipulated, certainly political, and well, I guess it is manipulated. Something's manipulating it, whether it be stopping it or charging more for it, or I mean, let's face it. What they once said, they were selling gas to the Japs for $1.50, $1.50 a litre, and we were paying 85 cents for it down here. Like it's just, we're just the plebs, aren't we? And we've got to put up with all that sort of rubbish. And coal is
the weird part about that is it's ours.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking that as I was saying it.
It's the resource. Who gave it to the people who were selling it?
Yeah, exactly. So that.
Wow, that's a whole nother argument, of course.
They're allowed to do something with it. We're not, of course. Yeah. And coal's very, very political, highly subsidised. Well, the subsidies come with the gas and that as well. Oil, not so much, obviously, but that's manipulated by a different way. I guess everybody knows those sorts of things. No need to go into it.
Once again, it belongs to the land, it belongs to the people.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's right.
I guess the point that we need to come to is, how do we position ourselves for the future, do you think? What's your opinion?
Yeah, well, that's right. So looking at the energy sector, and then by going through the oil, the gas, the coal, I came out with the uranium. The reason I chose uranium was because it's so small, no one's interested in it, funnily enough. It's so big that everybody needs it. It's an incredible thing. It's not manipulated. The prices are not determined by the government. There's no London Metals Exchange. It doesn't go through any third party. If you're digging it out of the ground, you can sell it to whoever you like for whatever price you like. So that's why I liked it. So it's really easy to chart and trade because there's no manipulation. You don't have to read manipulation into the chart itself.
It's kind of got bad press. It's a bit like bamboo, although it's got far more repercussions in the minds of people. Not so much for the resource itself, but the waste it creates.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got an answer for that, haven't you?
Well, it's not my answer, of course. It's just doing homework, and you find out all sorts of things. And yeah, the thing, I mean, you got to give the those that think that way, Chernobyl. That was a bit of an issue, but the point is, it was the equivalent of putting a V16 aeroplane engine in a Morris Minor. Really, like they didn't know anything about it. The Russians always take risks earlier than everyone else. They made it work. It caused a bit of grief and it could cause a bit of problems. But other than that, I think there's only been one person killed on the planet from a nuclear problem. Like, it's crazy. So
when you say it that way, it is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, like Fukushima. Everyone knows Fukushima. They put it was in the newspaper for how long? And how many people died there because of the nuclear problem? None. Not one. A lot of them died in the tsunami, but that didn't. Now that caused the nuclear issue, and they've now addressed those. Of course, they've got now, and the new stuff now. They've come up with the small modular reactors, which literally can be on the back of a truck, and they can take them and install them. And so what they're doing is, of course, the old plants, to make them worthwhile, needed to be massive to get the economies of scale. Now they can make them smaller and a lot safer and more reliable. Well, let's face it, it's the most reliable power on the planet. It always has been. So there's so much here, Jeff. Like people talk about the solar, dare I say it, those with a green bent, they rave about solar and they go on about nuclear, Well, there's more people killed installing solar panels every month than's ever been killed in the history of nuclear power since 1954. Like,
There you go.
It's just rubbish. And the waste, like you say, is always painted as being a problem. And of course, the truth is, now they go, oh, nuclear waste is dangerous for 200 years. Could be 200,000 years. And I won't say dangerous, but it certainly can be active for that long. But what they don't tell you is that the different isotopes of uranium, the one which we use in nuclear reactors, which is 308, there's all sorts. But anyway, that happens to be one of them. But the bottom line is the ones that are dangerous for only 12 months and the ones that are dangerous for 200,000 years contain exactly the same amount of energy. One's given off in 12-month period and one's given off over a 200,000 year period. You tell me which is the most dangerous.
Yeah,
indeed. That's how stupid it is. And why don't the nuclear people publicise this and explain those sorts of facts? Scientific facts can be looked up in papers anywhere you like. And the other strange thing is, which you can relate to, people can relate to, is life of cycle from the ground back into the ground. There's more, I'll say, radioactive energy, which is nuclear energy effectively. Radioactive energy comes out of a coal mine than a uranium mine. So,
well, how come we, as you say, how come we're not told these things?
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't suit the narrative, does it?
That's exactly right. They even tell you that. The nuclear people tell you that. It's been so political, they haven't dared bring it up. All they wanted to do was slowly but surely it would take over. And that's what's happening now. And it's a bit like the digital CBDC, the digital currency, in that now it's got so much critical mass, it's here. It's never going away. There's enough smart people now are at the top making it work. There has been billions of dollars are spent in this industry in the last 25, 30 years. So it's here. So all I thought I was going to do is learn how to trade it. So that's sort of the angle I came from.
And you were telling me that they're building reactors like there's no tomorrow, and the resource, whilst it's plentiful in the ground, is not plentiful available now. It's got to be mined, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So the one problem with uranium is because the politics involved is nothing to do with the subject. It's to do with the public images and things, you see. So it's been really badly, not badly, it's very severely permitted, probably like a lot of things should be, to be honest with you. So if you discover somewhere where there's good uranium and you want to get it into production, it takes 10 years. So the problem you've got is that at the moment, the average uranium cycles, well, hang on, I'll just steal your screen. It might be appropriate to
sure.
bring this up.
Thanks, Tajul. Tajul's telling me that gold hit its target, by the way, which is good. And the target was weekly pivot, so there it is right now.
Okay, now I've got to work out what I've done here. Have we got that back?
You've got Cameco.
Great. So Cameco is an American company which own uranium interests in Australia, by the way. And apart from the Russians, who aren't the flavour of the month, I think they're the biggest company in the world mixed up in uranium. And they actually process it as well as mine it. But the problem is the processing is a backlog at the moment because the Russians were doing, where's my notes? I think it's 40%. Yeah, 40% of the enrichment. So when we dig uranium out of the ground, the form it's in is no good to us. We need to convert it into a 308. And we do that via different methods. Doesn't really matter. And I think China's the second. So the backup, the processes for getting it into a usable form are very slow, and they take, like, for example, I think if you've got an enrichment, they call it the enrichment plant, which is basically concentrating all the dirt into something you can use. If you've got an enrichment plant running flat out, it takes 18 months to shut it down, but it takes nearly as long to get it going. So you can't just turn it on and off. So this is where the dollars are going to be made in uranium.
So what you're saying is supply is nowhere near demand.
Well,
It's short term
yeah, that's right. Yep.
or
And
even
the other-
medium term.
Yeah, and the other thing was, I said about the 10-year mine life. So that's what brought me back to this. So if you have a look here, this was the last uranium boom. This is Cameco's history. Well, back, I've only got it back to 2009. What is it, 96 or something? Yeah, 96. But this was a uranium boom here. I'm just trying to think why that's someone there, to be honest with you. It was the financial crisis was about there somewhere, wasn't it? And this was out the other side.
Yep.
Was that, no, hang on, we was, so 2010, uranium was going well, that's right. Yeah, so, yep, basically. And that was Fukushima. I think that was 2010, wasn't it, from memory? Somewhere around there.
Can't remember.
And that's why it all died. And it just died a slow death, really. So that's roughly, look, from boom to doom. This actually, I think there was a bit of an anomaly here too, for some reason. That was a little bit, I think that's the one that's a little bit artificial. This is probably realistic here and here, I think, from memory. I'll just forget what it was now.
Left and right shoulders. Beautiful
Yes,
little
that's
head and shoulders there.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So basically from there to there is 10 years. So this was after it got going, obviously. So we're looking at roughly 10-year cycles. That's what they sort of, I don't think it's not going to be like that this time, to be honest with you. But you can see how long it basically bumped along the bottom, which is, a great thing for building up a case to get it to fly. And that's exactly what's going on. I just put those two lines on there, but I'm sure you can do better than I did. But as you can see, like that, once we broke through there, we were away. We had support here. There's your trend line to there. We had support anywhere potentially along there. It touched it once, and away it went. And this pattern, because uranium is such a small market, like what silver to gold is minuscule, and this is minuscule compared to silver. So when it gets going, like silver, everybody knows silver goes faster than gold once it gets going, once all the reasons are in place. And this is the same. Once this gets going, it goes even worse or even better, because it's such a small market and there's no one interested.
Is there a logical reason why we've been in consolidation for so long?
Yes, there is. The reason for that is because after Fukushima, the Japanese shut down 20 power plants to start with, along with the...
No, sorry, after the rally of 2020. So after the bottom, we had a sharp rally, and now we've gone into consolidation for, 2 years?
Yeah, well, 2020, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yes, yeah, well, because firstly, everybody in the uranium industry have been waiting for it to happen. And when does it happen? So what happened was because you can't shut plants down, you've got to have storage. Yellow cake in storage to run your plant, because you just can't shut them off. So so all the companies, there was heaps of yellow cake in storage because the Japanese shut down 20, I think it was 20 something reactors, plants, I should say. Well, they are reactors, I guess, plants, and whoever else shut down heaps of plants. And so all these people had uranium in stock, and that was just sold from those places, would sell it into the spot market. And it just got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because there was so much of it sitting around, because they shut down, America shut down, I don't know how many, and they're just getting them all going as well. So there's lots of more around the world. The French have been a good proponents of it, and they've done really well. And of course, the idiots like the Germans who don't mind having the lights out in the middle of winter, they're now buying their power off the French, which is, how's that made? Now, you guessed it. So it's just madness, So that's.
But
that's
right now for the last 2 years, we've gone sideways. Is there a logical reason for that?
Yeah, well, there's only the same reason. They're sussing out how much uranium was left in the market. And what happened was Sprott, who is the biggest commodities or minerals trader in the world, Eric Sprott, he set up an ETF which people can trade, And he bought all that spare uranium because he figured there wasn't much left. People, because you can't find out who's got it. It's not, there's not yet, it's not in a metals exchange or, you know, wherever, the LME or, you know, there's no registration with it at all. You just got to guess. Well, because he had enough money, he decided that he would find out how much was out there. So he set up this ETF or a trust, actually. There's an ETF as well now. He's got the Sprott Uranium Trust. And he started buying all the uranium he could find. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of it. And finally, he's flushed most of it out. And this, because he suspected the market was starting to cycle again, and that's what's happened. And now people like BOE that we've spoken about on the show before, and LOT, they were old mines left over from the last cycle, and they are now refurbing them. And BOE is going to be ready to go in 6 months, and LOT 15 months later. So that's where we're at now, the very beginning of that cycle, of that where things are starting to happen, and now the prices are finally being published. After I watched it all these years and got sick of it basically, and then a friend I was teaching a trade woke me up about here and said, "What's this uranium? It's moving. What's all that about?" So I thought, and within 2 days, when I looked at it, I knew straight away what was going on, and we traded all this. This is nearly the same pattern, by the way, as BOE, and I just traded all this all the way across here, setting myself up for this next big run, where now everybody will be getting in. They're all. Another interesting subject is that the old nuclear reactors all had life cycles on them of about 20 to 40 years. And now, because they've been so reliable in their lifetimes, they're expanding them now. Some of them have been allowed with obviously upgrades and extreme safety checks and analysis and stuff. They're now allowing them to run 60 and 80 years with the same plant. That's how heavily duty built they are. It's amazing. So the Americans now are not only getting their plants going again, they're also improving them and making them so they can run them for longer. So that's more and more guaranteed product needed. And at the moment, because of the elimination of all the inventory around the place, it's becoming scarce because they're getting the plants going faster than they can get the mines going.
And if one bloke owns a large percentage of the world's supply currently, then he controls the price, right?
Well, to some degree.
Logically, that's what goes on in my head, which means the price is going to be at a premium.
Yeah, but the one guy won't do that because one guy doesn't own all the reactors. So all the reactors negotiate their own price with all the producers, you see. But what Eric's done is forced their hand and made it so that the reactors people, now the plants, need to go and start, or they continue the negotiations for the prices into the future. But the pressure's coming on because there's not a lot of no loose uranium left laying around the place. So now it's becoming a more honest price. And it's gone from about 20 or 30 bucks up to about 54, and it's climbing very, very steadily all the time at the moment. Give or take a bit of cyclical stuff. So yeah, it's a very interesting situation.
If we were interested in trading it, now bearing in mind most people are not in Australia, where would you look to trade it or position yourself as in invest in it? ETF, global ETFs, or? Yeah,
I don't trade ETFs anymore. They're a bit of a drama, really, in a lot of ways. They suit some people, I guess. So ETFs would be okay. There's a couple of things I would do. If you look up, and we can put some maybe these in the show notes, maybe.
Yep. Put them in the chat there.
Look in the World Nuclear News. That's a fantastic site. And out of that site comes another site called the World Nuclear Association. And on that site, it tells you every country that mines uranium, what they do with it, how they process it, do they process it, where they sell it to, where it goes to, or how much they export, all that sort of thing. They are, and that World Nuclear Association one That's very comprehensive. So that would give you a really good analysis of the industry on a whole, country by country. So that's a ripper. The other way to go about it was obviously just search uranium companies. I've done a little bit of that for the sake of the show, and CCJ that we're looking at is on the New York Stock Exchange. CCJ is Cameco. UEC is Uranium Energy Company. That one's on AMEX, on the AMEX and the New York Stock Exchange as well. GLO is on the TSX. URA is on the AMEX. The URA is a global uranium ETF. The Sprott physical, the ETF they've got now, as opposed to their trust, that's listed on the TSX and one other. I think they were trying to get listing on another one, because to have the way Sprott's very clever how he sets these up, and it hasn't been done before. So he's had to go through extra compliance to get them listed in certain places. They have an ETF as well. That's U.U, that one. And on the ABEX, there's one called Energy Fuels, which is, I don't think that's not an ETF, but it's just UUUU, and that's Energy Fuels. That's a big company that's tradable in America.
That's probably enough for now, I would have thought.
Yeah,
So you guys, if you're interested in what Phil's saying and think there's something in it, then that's probably a good place to start.
Yes.
Did you say you had links, mate?
Well, if we could just put these names in, probably. Spot's got a physical trust, obviously, and there's some in London as well, or the AIM. I'm not familiar with that. I haven't got that in my database, funnily enough. Or the LSO, it's a bit big for me. I don't need it. At BKY, YCA, CYN, ALBA, and QLJQ, which is United Uranium Energy Corp. So those are available in England as well. So there, yeah, that's how you get access them for sure. We could probably put those in the show notes, I'm guessing.
Are you able to do that now? Are you able to paste them in the chat?
Oh, I don't know. I can try. Yeah, so that probably we nearly summed it up, haven't we, really, I guess?
Yeah, no, brilliant, mate. As you know, I'm extremely motivated to find out my own way of doing this and working on that.
Well, I'll see if I can type these uranium companies into the chat for you now while you're winding up, if you like.
Sure, mate. Oh, hi, Catherine. I'm trying to work out K. I thought I was going to take a punt, but there you go. No, you're welcome. Look, I think it's a fascinating subject, because I do think we need to be thinking about what happens after, in my opinion. Currency is no longer traded the way it is, and I think that happens. That is about to happen. Well, as I say, it may not be in my lifetime. About is a very relative and subjective thought process. All right, I'll just wrap this up and see if I can find something to trade. We've already had gold, and as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm now trading that at 0.25%. And this week's been pretty good, because we've had 3 out of 4 winners. Monday was a bad start. Tuesday was a good one. Wednesday was a good one. And now Thursday's been a good one out of a small range down to the weekly pivot. Beautiful. Well, let's hope that continues. And I'll continue to, now that I'm trading that on a separate account, I can keep my eye on that far better than I can or could when I was trading on a combined account. So when I say combined, if I trade everything on that one A2W account, so I've now separated gold. So we can analyse it far better. But last few weeks have been pretty good, I'd have to say. Righto, updates, CAD Swiss. Exactly as I said before, I'm continuing to monitor this. Now we are in profit, but I haven't taken any. I'm still at risk. And if we were to close below this trade line, I would look to close it. Whether I'm in small win, small profit, don't care. But a close below there doesn't interest me. What I would do, if that were the case today, I would close the trade and I'd put another entry above the candle. I know that sounds weird, but that's exactly what I would do. What else have we got? Kiwi. Kiwi, we need to get down here to take our second profit. As I said, I'm trailing my stop now, and it's above that bar there, which I think was the weekly bar, 60.55, 0.6055 is the trail at the moment. Kiwi yen, if it closes above here, which is 85.42 as I've got it, I would close this one as well, because that would mean to me that we're going back to trend, this trend here. But I'm reasonably happy with what's happening at the moment. I think my target area down here is still in play, and thereafter I expect this to crash through here. Why? Because I've got 3 amigos here. 3 amigos, false break of that range, second false break of that range, third false break of that range. And this was the lower high on the back of that. So that's why I'm trading this short. And when I see that, I expect this to break to the downside, probably to this level. And if we're super lucky, in extension, we'll get all the way down there. There you go. Phil's put those in the chat. That's to me. Hang on, I'll have to share that with everyone else. Oh, will it let me? Don't think I can copy it. Reply. Phil, can you see that you've just sent that to me? And I can't share it for some reason. Are you able to copy and paste that?
I'm halfway through. I've done all the USA ones, and that's I sent that to you as a message. I'm just doing the UK ones at the minute. I'm nearly finished.
But if you select, you see down the bottom where you're typing, it says 2, and there's a drop-down menu.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Can you just click everyone in meeting, please?
Oh, hang on, it's got format, file, enter to send. Oh, it's got 2, Jeff. Oh, yes. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Can you change that to everyone in meeting?
Yep, cool. Yep. Give me a second. Everyone in meeting?
Yep.
Yep. So I'll need to now.
Yeah, copy and paste the other one and do the same again. Yeah.
Just enter that one, and then copy and paste the other ones. Okay.
Cool. Right. So I'm finished with the trades that we're in. Watch list. Euro yen. Again, looking to trade this short, not long, but I need to see something that suits my eye, and of course that's a setup. I don't really like that trade line. It's pretty acute, but I'm continuing to monitor it. What I'd rather see the daily chart maybe come back to this level here. That would give me a double top, lower high. That's what I'm looking for. Pound, no. Euro Swissy and dollar yen. Euro Swissy, dollar yen. Let's tackle dollar yen first. Dollar yen now looking very much like it wants to go to my second level that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, which I have not got here. Why? That's weird. Because I've closed the chart, I suppose. Anyway, there's a horizontal level. Now I can't find the dash thing. There it is. So that level there, 142-ish, is where I think this can go, and I'll be looking for reversals there. If it can bounce off here, continue to bounce off here today. If it doesn't and produces a lower high, then you can see what I'll be thinking about. I'll be thinking about top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom. So I still think this is in play, and I'll look for false break of that channel, then to come back and play it short. That's Dolly. I think that's my favourite play. And the only other one is Euro Swissy, but I can't find. Oh, there we go. Euro Swissy. Euro Swissy, I'm looking to buy, but not now, because if I were to buy, it'd have to be above this bar, which of course is a slingshot candle pattern. But I don't have the right to do that yet because we're in a downtrend. I need to see a reversal, which I've got. I've got a double bottom. I've also got a bullish engulfing bar, but I need to see that higher low in here somewhere to confirm that price cannot go lower at this point and therefore should go higher. That's the plan, guys. And of course, as I mentioned before, our edge has gone on euro dollar, but it has come back to this level that we thought might be in play. Tough to trade right now, really tough to trade. I can't see anything that makes me want to buy it. Remember the dollar, talking about the dollar going to here, then that would mean euro down to here probably. So it's tough to buy right now. We are in a downtrend, perhaps a reversal pattern, but yeah, like I said, it's too tough to try. Thank you, Phil, for all that. Thank you for your experience and sharing those things with us. And guys, if you want to continue to follow or can actually see merit in what Phil's talking about, then there's plenty of opportunities there to have a look at those companies and see if you can find a way. If you agree, if you don't agree, of course, it's not compulsory. That's the one thing about trading. It is not compulsory. Thank God for that. Otherwise, we'd be in every single position that we saw, regardless of thinking. And I can assure you, thinking is a very good thing to do when you've got a chart in front of you and you have to press the go button. Righto, mate, thank you. That was cool. Really enjoyed that. And I hope that the people in the room have got something out of that, and at least the thought process is there. You don't have to agree with it. You can dismiss it, of course, but thinking about it is something that I would recommend you do. I think we're back on Monday. There's no holiday this week. So hopefully you can join us then. Thanks, Phil, again. Have a good weekend, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Most enjoyable.
Happy days. And everyone else, well, thank you, Phil, for being my trading buddy, of course. And everyone in the room, thank you for being our trading buddies. And we look forward to catching up with you next week. Have a great weekend. See you later. Oh, hang on, there's messages. Oh, thanks, Paul P. Thanks, Catherine. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye for now.